yesterday we discussed TDF's Plan B and Plan C, what is going to happen on Gondar, Debre Tabor, Waldia fronts on a far front. We discussed that in detail. Then we said, what about the planning done by Ethiopian National Defense Force and Amhara forces? What are they planning? We'll discuss ENDF's and Amhara forces planning. What are they planning and what should they plan? Firstly, viewers, when Tigray Defense Force entered Amhara region more than a month ago, it advanced rapidly into Waghimra, North Wallo. It moves towards South Gondar, then South Wallo. There were two main reasons behind TDF's rapid advance into Amhara region. Firstly, when TDF entered Amhara region, TDF outnumbered Amhara forces. TDF launched swarms of fighters. TDF had done some massive recruitments before this offensive. So Amhara forces were outnumbered. The statements of Aganeho Tishagar, Amhara region president, are on record. He had said that TDF is sending thousands of civilians on different fronts in Afar, in Amhara. So Amhara forces were outnumbered, firstly. Secondly, Tigray Defense Force exploited internal ethnic conflicts in Amhara region. TDF backed a group, Agaw Liberation Front, in Waghimra. TDF and ALF fighters jointly conducted operations. TDF tried to take advantage of internal conflicts in Amhara region, which TDF is still doing. We know that on Gondar front, TDF and Kimant fighters reportedly have launched some joint attacks. So TDF made use of internal conflicts in Amhara. Amhara forces were outnumbered. TDF advanced. After that, we saw that Ethiopian National Defense Force, Amhara forces conducted large-scale recruitments. Tens of thousands of youth have been recruited in ENDF, regional forces. Then locals were mobilized as well. In Waldia we saw, in Debre Tabor, now we are seeing in Dasi, that locals were armed and mobilized to defend their cities. So Amhara forces, ENDF, after conducting massive recruitments, launched counter-offensives. Eritreans also helped them. On Gondar front, Eritrean forces joined the fighting. On Debre Tabor front, they did not join the fighting, but Amhara forces, ENDF, were relocated from western Tigray to fight on Debre Tabor front. So Eritreans helped Amhara forces, ENDF. Counter-offensive came, TDF had to withdraw from Debre Tabor, from Gondar. The current plan in operation of Amhara forces and ENDF has four main points. Firstly, sealing of Amhara-Sudan border. TDF and Kimant militia members will definitely try to enter Amhara region from Sudan. They have tried to enter, in fact, over the past 4 days. Amhara forces are trying to keep this border sealed in order to stop any help for TDF and Kimant militia members from Sudan. Secondly, Amhara militias have entered two regions which border Amhara, Benishangal Gums and Oromia. In both these regions, Amhara militias are fighting against local groups. In BG, Benishangal Liberation Front. In Oromia, Oromo Liberation Army. Both have reportedly alliance with TDF. OLA has announced that. OLA and BLF, they have been trying to advance towards border areas, Amhara BG border areas, Amhara Oromian border areas. So Amhara militias have entered the two regions. They want to stop the advance of OLA and BG towards Amhara BG, Amhara Oromian border areas. Second point of their plan. Thirdly, they want to stop TDF from reaching those areas which are close to Amhara Oromia border, where we have seen fighting between Amharas and Oromos in the past, like Oromia Special Zone, North Shore Zone of Amhara region, where hundreds have been killed, hundreds were killed a few months ago in ethnic clashes. TDF was trying to move towards Dassi, though we haven't seen any significant advance towards Dassi over the past 48 hours. If Dassi falls, TDF could move towards Oromia Special Zone, North Shore Zone, which are vulnerable. So I think Amhara forces, ENDF, will try their best to stop TDF at Dassi. Third point. Fourth point is TDF's supply lines. Amhara and ENDF forces have been targeting TDF's supply lines. We have seen that on two fronts. Since TDF opened several fronts on Amhara region, it could not sustain its operations. First, we saw on Debre Tabor front that TDF's units in Gashina were targeted and supply lines were cut off. We saw that on Debark front too, TDF was about to enter Debark. Amhara militias, Amhara forces sneaked into Lima mountains, and they managed to reach in the back of TDF close to Zarima, Ediarke. TDF had to withdraw. So since Amhara forces know this terrain very well, they are making use of this terrain and they are cutting off TDF's supply lines. TDF will have to reduce its number of fronts in Amhara region. Lastly, viewers, airstrikes are now an integral part of the military strategy adopted by ENDF and Amhara forces. We have seen airstrikes on Debre Tabor front, and airstrikes are going on Dassi front near Marsa, near Vichale. Yesterday, I shared pictures of a destroyed T-72 tank of Tigray Defense Force close to Marsa, which was reportedly destroyed in airstrike. TDF has no air power. In terms of air power, ENDF Amhara forces have an advantage, and they're making the most of this advantage. Airstrikes are being conducted. Lastly, viewers, I think in coming days, the role of Afar region is going to be very significant. TDF has withdrawn from Zone 4 of Afar region, from Yalo, Galina, Ora, Iva Waridas. Now Afar Special Forces have been seen in pictures close to Calevan, which is close to Voldia. Will Afar forces remain neutral, or will they launch attacks from eastern side towards North Wallo, towards Voldia? That remains to be seen. If Afar forces decide to join Amhara forces from the east, TDF could be under severe pressure on Voldia Dassi front. That remains to be seen, viewers. Lastly, viewers, in coming days, we could see some operations, some attacks on Tigray too. TDF supply lines are starting from Tigray. Their recruitments, their training, it's underway in Tigray. We could see Ethiopian Air Force conducting some targeted operations in Tigray in coming days. It could be part of a strategy adopted by ENDF and Amhara forces in coming days. I think.